Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So this is part two uh, to my series on Kamala Harris. I guess for today it's part two. Altogether, it's like part three on her. And this is probably going to be my last video unless there's some major development involving her. It's probably going to be my last video for a while on her. But I had to talk about this, and I had to do it as a separate video. So let me just go ahead and share my page so that you all can see it. Share my screen. Just bear with me 1 second so you can see the article that I'm referencing in this video. I will get to your comments after I just go over some of the basic information in these two articles. So this is an article that I saw on Fox, and I posted this article on my Facebook page, and I received an immediate reaction from some of the sisters on my Facebook page. And I'm talking about my personal Facebook page, not my New Possibilities page. But when I posted this, I received some comments. A lot of people were saying, well, why are you posting this? You know, why did you, basically, why did you have the gall to post this particular article? What's wrong with you? And then, you know, some people use shaming tactics, you know, where they want to say that you're doing this. Well, they didn't say it directly, but they're implying that I'm out to, you know, I have something against this woman because she's a black woman, you know, I'm sexist or whatever because I posted an article. I didn't even provide my commentary at that point. I simply posted this article, and because of that, people use these shaming tactics to basically try to silence me and silence my criticism of Kamala Harris. And what I want to do is go into this particular article right here. This is in the description box so that you all can read it for yourself. You know, basically it talks about how former mayor of San Francisco, Willie Brown, claims that he had an affair with Kamala Harris about 20 years ago. You know, this guy is 84 years old. He's 30 years older than Kamala Harris. And he basically put out a statement saying that he had been involved in an extramarital affair with this woman. So this guy was married at the time. And I don't know if he still is married. He probably is. But he was married at the time, and he had this affair with Kamala Harris. So I'm going to read a couple of excerpts from this article. You know, it talks about how former San Francisco mayor Willie Brown addressed his past extramarital relationship with U.S. Senator Kamala Harris in his weekly column Saturday, saying that he may have boosted the presidential hopeful's career. He said, yes, we dated. It was more than 20 years ago. Yes, I may have influenced her career by appointing her to 2 state commissions when I was California Assembly Speaker. I certainly helped her with her first race for district attorney in San Francisco. But he also pointed out how he helped careers of other political figures such as Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein. And then he went on to say the difference is that Harris is the only one who, after I helped her, sent word that I would be indicted if I so much as jaywalked while she was DA. That's politics for you. That's what he said in this particular statement. And this article goes on to talk about how Brown appointed Harris, who was about 30 years younger than Brown, and just a few years out of law school, to 2 well-paid state commission assignments on the Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board and the California Medical Assistance Commission. And, you know, this has a link to an article right here. And then she said this, you know, this is her statement. Whether you agree or disagree with the system, I did the work. I brought a level of knowledge and common sense to the jobs. And this article also points out that the former mayor, Willie Brown, also connected Harris with campaign donors who helped her outraise her opponent for a San Francisco district attorney. And it cites the source here, Business Insider. And they talked about how questions were raised about her relationship after she announced her bid for president. And then this article just talks about his infidelity, how he would parade around with other women and all that kind of stuff, and how he was featured in this particular magazine, Playgirl, whatever, or mentioned as one of the sexiest people. Yeah, sexiest man by Playgirl magazine in 1984. So that's a summary of this particular article. So in response to this article, you have, a couple of articles. You have this article from The Nation that pointed out how, they're basically criticizing people for even raising this issue. And it talked about, described this talk as creepy gossip about a past relationship for 20 years ago. And it says it should stop now. And then you had this other article from The Root that's basically defending her and stuff like that. And, as I was reading this article, one word came to mind, and that's simp. And I'm not one to call people a simp or anything like that, but that is the word that immediately came to mind as I was reading this article right here, where this person is going all out of their way to defend Kamala Harris in this situation. And I'm going to walk through it in a second, but it's just absolutely ridiculous, man. It's like a lot of these guys, some of these guys, let me just correct that. Some of these guys that write for The Root, are real spineless, they don't have any backbone, they pander, they openly just pander to women and defend women regardless of anything, under any circumstance or whatever. And they bash black, unfortunately, you have a lot of these people on here. It's cool for them to bash black men while they, blindly defend any situation involving women, even when the woman is dead wrong, like this particular situation right here. So I'm just going to go through this. And I know this is probably going to set a lot of people off. A lot of people are going to have something to say about this, but I just have to express my thoughts about this situation. So basically, this person said, they basically said, well, why are we even talking about this issue of her dating life? Is it relevant to her qualifications as president? And they say no. Is it because her previous relationships were scandalous in some way that reflects on her character? No. So those, I want to address those two things, off the gate, off top. First of all, it does reflect on somebody's character. The fact that somebody was in a relationship with a married man, that speaks to character. The fact that this woman was in this relationship for political purposes, that speaks to character. That speaks to integrity. That speaks about somebody's true nature. We know that she was not with a man that's 30 years older than her because she was just so enamored by him. She wasn't in no relationship with a man that's 30 years older than her because he was so handsome. She wasn't in a relationship with this guy for any other reason than to use him as a stepping stone to get to the top. This talked about how she was given, here she is, like right out of law school on these two prestigious committees. And, the articles that I read talked about how this guy has a history of cronyism and all that kind of stuff. This is a prime example of cronyism. So you had this woman basically, in this relationship, somebody's side chick, You know, somebody helping this man violate his marital vows. How does that not speak to somebody's character? How does using somebody for political purpose not speak to somebody's character? How can anybody suggest that this doesn't relate to their character or say anything about their morality or their principles or anything like that? You know, if it wasn't for this guy and her relationship with this man, we don't know where her political career would be today. Like, I mean, it's possible that she may have still gotten to the top, but the article again pointed out how this man hooked her up with campaign donors that made it possible for her to become DA of San Francisco. Without that position, she wouldn't have become the state's attorney. She wouldn't have gone on to become a U.S. senator. So that was a pivotal influence that this man had in her career. And it says something about somebody making it based on their merit and their hard work versus somebody sleeping their way to the top. And I'm not saying that she has no merit or no hard work. I'm sure that she put in the work and all that kind of stuff. She did accomplish much, and she may have accomplished this without this guy. But the fact that she used this man to get to the top says something about her character. And for people to deny that, it's for people to deny reality. It's for people to put on blinders. And, you know, I refuse to be one of these people that bow to these shaming tactics that people like to use. You know, they want to call somebody a sexist simply for raising questions about this woman's character or her track record. And I think that that's wrong. I think it's a weak tactic designed to silence people. They want to call people racist, you know, they raise questions about her history as well. And I don't think that that's necessarily the case most of the time when people are raising these issues. Now, this person said, does it tell us anything about her policy positions? You know, obviously it doesn't tell us anything about her policy positions, but it does tell us a lot about her character. And I do realize that this was 20 years ago. You know, that is quite some time ago. But again, like it's relevant because it speaks to character. This is somebody that will be president of the United States if elected. So their character matters. Just like, you know, the fact that the American people elected that scumbag Donald Trump, you know, somebody that should not be in the White House, somebody that doesn't have the character for the White House. And that brings me to this point about Fox News. You know, I have to address this before I get back to that rude article. Fox News is full of hypocrisy. And before I get into the hypocrisy, I'll just say this. Like, a lot of people wanted to immediately discredit this particular article simply because it came from Fox News. And, you know, that's a classic example of ad hominem, where you want to just attack the source instead of attacking the actual things that are stated in the article. You know, that's the thing. Like, was anything in this article false? If not, then people need to shut up. You know, if this article is factually accurate, then what are we talking about? What is your problem with this information being out? So that's one thing. But I do have to call out Fox News for its blatant and despicable hypocrisy. I mean, we know that Fox News is a racist, right-wing, you know, media source. You know, it is hypocritical. You know, this Fox News, they gave Donald Trump all kinds of passes, and they should be called out for this blatant hypocrisy. Here you have a man that bragged about sexually assaulting women, but yet they stand by this man. They defend this man. Here you have a man that's had multiple affairs and all that kind of stuff, but yet Fox News is supposed to be about family values and all that kind of stuff, but they don't speak on that. Here you have a man that is despicable in every sense of the word, man. A man who paid off women to silence them, you know, engaged in these affairs with these women. You know, he has a harlot as his first lady. I mean, this man is a scumbag, man. You know, he's been accused of sexually assaulting many women, But yet these people that claim to be about religion and claim to be about family life, family values and stuff like that, these people over there at Fox News have nothing to say about that. But then they want to play holy when it comes to Kamala Harris. And I think that that should be called out. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I call it out here. But I think that this article, does raise some issues, even though it was 20 years ago. It is relevant. I won't make my decision about whether, again, I haven't made a decision. I won't use this solely to decide which way I'm going to vote or whatever. If it turns into a situation where she wins the nomination and it's her against Donald Trump, obviously I would rather have rather have Kamala Harris as president than Donald Trump. Let me clarify that. I would rather have Kamala Harris as president over Donald Trump any day of the week. In fact, damn near anybody would be better than Donald Trump. So that's not saying much. But again, I just had to call out Fox News for their hypocrisy. Here they are caping for a man who has no moral character at all, but yet they want to go back 20 years to condemn Kamala Harris. And, I think that that's hypocritical and that has to be called out. But let's get back to this article. And I will get to your comments in a second. I don't have much time to be on here, unfortunately. And I will say this, I want to have to address this whole thing with Willie Brown. I think that what he did was despicable, even though I think that this is newsworthy and it's worthy of talking about, but I do think that it's despicable. And this guy didn't have to come out and bring, to raise this issue. It's like, first of all, he cheated on his wife. And it's like, why do you have to make this statement right around the time when this woman made her announcement? That was just in bad taste. And it seems like he's deliberately trying to sabotage her career. He's trying to prevent her from being president. It just seems like he's hating on her, throwing shade at her and trying to undermine her. And I think that just speaks to his lack of integrity as a man. It just speaks to his weakness as a man and stuff like that. It speaks to his lack of character as a man. Why would you do something like that? Here you are trying to brag about how you helped set this woman up, put her in this position and stuff like that. He should have just been quiet on this, so that's my criticism of him. And I just want to show you all this quick picture. And this is a picture from back, I guess this is back when they were having an affair, whatever, as mentioned in one of these articles. Here they are when he won, his election for mayor of San Francisco. And you have Kamala Harris right by his side. But yeah, let's get back into this article and see what else they're saying. And, this person said this should never be a topic discussed about a presidential candidate. This is ridiculous. It should be discussed about for the reasons I said before. Like, I think that moral character matters. Not only does somebody's track record matters, not only do their policies matter. Of course, those are, very important, but their personal character matters. And I think that this speaks to character, regardless of people want to acknowledge it or not. So let me see if there's anything else in here. Yeah, so they're saying a lot of the same things. And I'm not going to dignify Tommy Lauren with her tweet by talking about it. And then these people are saying, well, this guy is trying to say that she didn't have an affair because he was separated from his wife, but not divorced. That's if somebody's married, whether they're separated or not, that's still, adultery. That's still an affair, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. I mean, it's like the mental gymnastics that these people do to defend this woman. It's just absurd, man. It's just ridiculous, man. It's like a lot of people are so wrapped up in identity politics that that's all that matters to them. You know, never mind like what her policies are. You know, never mind like her track record as a prosecutor. You know, people are so passionate about this woman because she's Black, you know, because she's biracial, because she went to Howard University, because she's an AK, you know, AKA or whatever. You know, because of that, these people are emotionally invested in her. You know, like they feel a need to automatically defend her. These same people that say these affairs are irrelevant have no problem talking about Donald Trump. So it's hypocrisy on their side as well. And then this person, you know, they acknowledge that Kamala Harris benefited professionally by dating this guy, Willie Brown, you know, because that's undeniable. And then they're saying, who hasn't dated somebody who helped your career? And all that kind of stuff. Man, we know, I mean, it's just obvious that she was only with him for politics, man, to promote her career. And I'm not saying that, you know, unlike what they're trying to suggest, nobody's saying she's a Jezebel or anything like that. But I think that it does say something about a woman that was in a relationship with a married man. I mean, even though it was 20 years ago, it is relevant, man. I mean, I guess like in today's world, like, you know, where people have very loose standards or whatever, you know, a lot of people don't see this as that relevant. For instance, you got like people who were going out of their way to defend Bill Clinton and stuff like that. And the same people, again, are like condemning Donald Trump for engaging in a lot of the same type of behavior as Clinton. So anyway, let me stop sharing my screen and see what you all are saying before I sign out. You know, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I know this probably gonna get under some people's skin, but I just had to speak my mind on this, man. And like somebody else was making a good point about like wondering if they're basically trying to set this woman up to be the nominee so that she can lose the general election and, you know, Donald Trump will remain president. So let me see what y'all are saying before I sign out. I'm not going to repeat some of the things that I had here, man. Some of them are kind of vulgar, so I'm going to chill. I don't want to make this into a locker room conversation or nothing. Just bear with me as I read some of these comments. Yeah, so somebody said, what if she wanted some of that Playgirl Man of the Year? No, man, it's I mean, anybody looking at that situation, no woman is going to be with some man that's 30 years their senior just because they think they're some attractive guy or something like that. I mean, we got to use common sense at some point, man. She wasn't with him, as I said before, because he was handsome. She wasn't with him because he was some great, charming fellow or anything like that. It was all about political power. It was all about ascension, you know, rising to the next level. That's what it was about. Leveling up, as some of these women like to say. That's what it was about. And that's obvious, man. I mean, that should be obvious to anyone checking this out, this situation out. And, some people will say, well, this is going low, like for people to raise this. But we all know that politics, as somebody said on my Facebook page, is a blood sport, man. There are rules, some rules to it, but people always go below the belt. And if you're going to step up and try to run for office, you have to expect this kind of stuff. You have to be prepared to deal with this kind of stuff. Yeah, I see that, somebody saying, I don't care how she climbed up the ladder. I mean, I do. I think that somebody should get up the ladder through merit. Of course, relationships matter. Like, the friends that you have make it possible for you to have certain opportunities. We all know about networking and all that kind of stuff. But this situation is ridiculous, though, man. Where you had this woman basically sleeping her way to the top, knowing good and damn well she wouldn't be on those committees if she didn't lay down with this guy. um, yeah, I feel you, Psycho. Like, overall, I'm not feeling this woman. I'm not, like, energetic about her. Like, and I know a lot of people hate on Obama and they try to compare him to her. But at some point, like, even though I wasn't, like, wrapped up into Obama, like a lot of the fanatics are, like, he had these people that were, like, basically, like, worshipers and stuff like that loved him so much and were, like, fascinated by him, like he was some kind of cult leader or something like that. I had some level of enthusiasm when he ran for office, like that first time, after he won Iowa, and we thought that it's possible this may become a reality. I felt enthusiastic, and a lot of people in the Black community felt enthusiastic when he ran for office, especially given the fact of who we had for president at the time, George Bush and his ridiculous war in Iraq and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people were enthusiastic, and we saw the state of the economy. The economy was in shambles under George Bush, so people were looking for hope. And, to many people, they saw Obama as a sign of hope. So a lot of people were energized by his campaign. And I don't see that same situation here. This woman comes across as phony, as completely fake. And that's my biggest problem with her. She's not authentic. And, again, authenticity is everything when it comes to politics. It's a huge part of it. Obviously policies matter more than, like, somebody's personality, but authenticity matters as well. It matters. It matters here on YouTube. If I do a video and I'm coming across fake, nobody's going to be feeling that. Nobody's going to be watching that. And that's how I feel with her campaign. It's fake to me. She's fake to me. It may be something to change where she proves otherwise, but right now I'm just not feeling her. So I agree with that, Psycho. Yeah, so I just did a video. I don't know if you were there for that first video that I did talking about her record as a prosecutor. So before anybody jumps on this video and says that, I'm just dealing with this personal gossip stuff and not her record, go check out the other video. And I'll post that in the cards as well so people will have it to easily reference. Nurse Devon said, no, Willie Brown is basically telling y'all she ain't about about shit, basically. I'm gonna chill. I ain't gonna say nothing crazy. Let me just chill. Yeah, so somebody said, I can't rock with anyone who pledges their support for Israel but has no Black agenda. And I tried to go to her page. I tried to access her agenda. And I would go on there now, but I'm probably, after I said I wasn't going to do a video, I may do another video possibly just going over her agenda. I tried to see what her issues were, like usually on politicians' pages, they outline all the issues and their positions on it. I think that since she's so early in her campaign, she hasn't really laid that completely out yet. And that's one thing that troubles me. Like, I'm going to talk about this real quick. It's just the fact that here, they start these elections way ahead of time, man. Here we are, like damn near 2 years away from the election, and already they got a campaign going on. Already they're going, she had this thing in Iowa, this town hall meeting. And that's another problem that I have. It's like why they make Iowa so important in these elections. Iowa doesn't represent America. Iowa is some backwoods, predominantly white area that doesn't represent most of America. And the fact that place gets so much attention politically speaks to one of the shortcomings of this political process, man. But yeah, that whole thing about Israel is very important. I want to know more about her foreign policy positions. There's so much to learn. If you're looking for a candidate that does not support Israel, you won't be voting for anybody in these elections, man, because all these people cave to the Zionist interests. They cave to AIPAC. They're owned by AIPAC, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. They bow down before AIPAC and other pro-Israel groups. But that point about a Black agenda is important. I know that she's talked about things like, in dealing with mass incarceration, police brutality. Those things are elements of the Black agenda, but I want to get more information, more details. Just bear with me 1 second. So somebody said she locked up a lot of Black men. I'm sure, like as a prosecutor, that's what you're going to do. Like you're going to that's your job, to lock people up, to get people, to send people to jail that violate the law and stuff like that. So, I mean, any prosecutor is going to have a history of locking up Black men. And if a Black man is committing a crime, they do need to go to jail. Like, I'm not one of these people to say, like, somebody should, be able to commit crimes, obviously, with no consequences. There should be punishment for people to commit crimes and all that kind of stuff. But we also need to do whatever we can to eliminate this problem of mass incarceration, where you have many nonviolent drug offenders being locked away for ridiculous amounts of time. Like here in Baltimore, to help address this problem of mass incarceration, our state's attorney, Marilyn Mosby, decided that she would not prosecute people for marijuana violations. And I think that that's a very positive development. And I think that we need more of that kind of stuff when it comes to these prosecutors. And again, that's another reason why these elections matter, because we have the power to determine who's going to be the prosecutor in our particular jurisdictions. We had the power to determine that, and we should determine that. Yeah, I haven't seen that video being fire. I talked about it in my last live stream, where I talked about her initiative to lock up parents because their kids are truant. I mentioned that before. Yeah, I mean, that is a valid point about how Black men and boys are locked up for offenses, and you get these white men and boys who get rehabilitation. They get, all these passes and slaps on the wrist. That's a very valid point. And, that's something that I want to address in an upcoming video, just like the disparities between Black men and white men in this country. It's going to be about white boy magic. So y'all got to check that out. That's probably going to be later on this week. So yeah, I have to talk about that. I was listening to, reading this or listening to a powerful poem, a poem that I had read before, and that inspired me to do a video on this whole thing about white male privilege in the society. So you all could check that out. All right, so with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you. I want to thank you all for tuning in. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content. Also, for those of you that didn't watch the first live stream, I want to let you all know that I'm trying to set up a book club. So if you're in the Baltimore area, the DMV, I'd like to meet with you all and talk about some, great books, read these books together and meet up. If you're interested, email me at newpossibilitiesblog@yahoo.com. So with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Thank you for watching.